beautiful beaders, it's Gina from Orchid and Opal.com. In one of my previous videos, I showed you guys how to make a simple, quick and easy stretch bracelet using this Benecreat crystal stretch cord that's from Beebeecraft.com, and this is the actual bracelet that we made together. And in that video I shared tons of tips and tricks with you about making stretch bracelets, so if you haven't seen that one yet, I will try to link it in the corner. I definitely recommend checking that one out because I don't want to go over the same exact things in this particular video. But in that video I shared with you that there are two methods that I use to personally make stretch bracelets. The one we covered with the stretch cord, and the one that we're going to do today is using a different material, and that is called a stretch fiber or a stretch floss. And that particular material looks like this, and you end up being able to double it up and use one of these large hole beading needles. It's a really secure way to make a stretch bracelet, especially if you are using larger or heavier beads. Here is a quick little comparison of some of the clear 0.8mm stretch cord that is the same type as the black cord that I used in the bracelet from the other video, and then next to that is this other material, the stretch fiber or floss. This is flatter and made of many different fibers, and this is one solid stretchy cord. I will be leaving a link to Beebeecraft.com where you can find this particular type of stretch fiber. They also have that stretch cord that I just showed you, so I'll leave the link for that as well, and I will leave links for everything else that I am using in the video today to show you this alternate method. So like I shared with you in the previous video, I like to get everything nicely laid out before I just start stringing my beads. In this particular bracelet, I want to have these 5 beads sitting here on the top of my wrist, just like that. So I've placed them in the middle of the necklace section of my bead board, with the center of these 5 beads sitting right on the 0. And then I want the bracelet to be approximately 7 inches in length, so I have everything symmetrically on either side out to about the 3.5 inch mark. So like I said, with this method we'll be doubling up our thread. Just like in the last video, you want to give it a little preliminary stretch just to make sure that it doesn't stretch out too much after you make the bracelet and you end up with lots of gaps between your beads. It just helps a little bit. And since I know I'm going to be making a 7-inch bracelet, of course we want at least 14 inches, but we're going to want some more thread added to our needle so we have plenty to work with when we're knotting it. So I've just gone ahead and added about 20 inches of this fiber thread to my needle, went ahead and strung it through, and we are ready to get started. So you can work from left to right, right to left, whatever you want to do, but just go ahead and string on all the beads that you have laid out in front of you, one after the other. And feel free to use a clip or anything you have lying around. I like to use this little clip from my local Dollar Tree. I find that it holds the stretch cord really well. Otherwise, just watch the end of your thread, make sure the beads aren't falling off. Alright, so now that we have all our beads strung on and they are sitting toward the end of this side of the thread, you can see we have plenty to work with when we're ready to make our knots. Continue with the needle in your hand and swing around and go back through all those beads one more time, and that's going to further reinforce your bracelet and make it much stronger, since this will be made with double the thread instead of just a single thread, because who wants to have this beautiful bracelet that they've made break apart, especially in public, and have all your beads flying everywhere? No one wants that, especially if it's a gift for somebody else. That would really be a shame. So just take your time with this part. It might take some careful pulling to get your thread to go through the second time, but you'll get there. So keep going until you get all the way to the other side where you started. Alright, so once you make it through the other side of your beads, you should have something like this, where you have your full looped fiber down here and you have one string coming out of here and one string coming out of here. I went ahead and clipped off my needle, leaving plenty of this fiber to work with, and took the other side off of the little clip. So at this point, we're ready to take both ends in each of our hands and make a simple overhand knot just to start this knotting process. So take one strand in your left hand and one strand in your right hand, and just do a simple one over the other and pull it down. You don't have to go too crazy with how tight you pull it. Just pull it tight enough so you don't have gaps and spaces in between your beads, but it's not overly tightened to the point where you lose the nice round shape here. All right, so we made our one overhand knot, but you see we need to incorporate this bottom thread into our next one. So just bring one of your ends underneath so it catches that bottom cord, bring it up and make another overhand knot right in the same place. And you can see that that grabbed that bottom thread as well. Now do that one more time, making another overhand knot and pulling that nice and tight just like that. Now at this point I want to point out that you have a couple different options. You can either cover up your knot with a crimp cover in a coordinating color to your bracelet. I just happen to have a gold one on my finger at this moment, but you could pop one right in between these two spacers, or two of them if you'd like to place a jump ring and a charm in between, in which case you can hide the knot underneath one of those crimp covers. Alternately, you can put your big eye beading needle back on one of these ends and string it back through some of these beads and then clip it, and then put it back on one of the other ends and string this way and clip it. But whichever way you decide to do, you will also want to use a little bit of jewelry glue, whether it's some E6000 or some Hypo-cement, and let that dry for about 24 hours. The other alternative, if you are just using one type of bead and you're not adding a charm at the location of your knotting area, is you would just make your knot like shown and then simply slide your knot underneath one of your beads or inside the holes with a dab of glue and let that dry. That would then keep the knot contained under one of your already strung beads and your design would look seamless. For our particular bracelet today, I'm just going to go ahead and pop my needle on one side and do that stringing method and finish up by stringing through the other side. So let's do that together real quick and then we will finish up our bracelet. Okay, so I am just stringing it through. Just as many as I can here, and pulling it until that little loop disappears. And now I'm going to clip this off and put my needle on the other side, and we'll go down through these beads in the other direction and pull that. You can go through as many as you want, but we'll just clip it right here. And there you have it. Now my plan is to pop a little charm in between those two spacers. And there we have it, just closing that jump ring. And there's the finished stretch bracelet using that alternate method of the stretch fiber and using 2 strands. Just don't forget to use a little bit of glue if possible on your knot and let that dry for about 24 hours, your little charm, depending on where on the bracelet you decide to have that. So again, I will leave the links to everything I used today down below, as well as the stretch fiber that you can find on Beebeecraft.com. If you haven't already, don't forget to check out that first video I did with lots of additional tips and tricks I didn't cover today about making stretch bracelets, but using this other type of material, the cord, instead. So that's all I have for you guys today. I hope this video was helpful for you. Please feel free, as always, to leave me a comment or question down below. Let us know if you have any additional tips or tricks for making stretch bracelets, whether you prefer the stretch cord or the stretch fiber or thread. I want to thank you again so much for being with me for another fun video. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day, and as always, happy beading. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. For more content like this, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified of my latest videos. You can check out the information section below this video for links to all my social media handles, recommended products, and my shop and blog at orchidandopal.com. Thanks for watching.